Let's delve deep into taxonomy and discuss classification systems, specifically the three-domain system. These are the systems most commonly discussed. The first one is the simplest, and the last one is the one we commonly use today. The two-kingdom system was the earliest classification system. In this system, all organisms were divided into two groups, plants and animals. This classification was based on their mode of nutrition. Autotrophic organisms, those that prepare their own food using chloroplasts to perform photosynthesis, were placed in Kingdom Plantae. Heterotrophic organisms, those that cannot prepare their own food, were placed in Kingdom Animalia. Before we move on, have you ever wondered where the word kingdom comes from? It is one of the highest ranks in taxonomy used to classify organisms. These ranks are collectively known as taxa. So, why didn't the two-kingdom system last? One of the main reasons was that many organisms simply didn't fit. Take Euglena, for example. It possesses both plant-like and animal-like characteristics. It has chloroplasts for photosynthesis, but it can also switch to a heterotrophic mode of nutrition in the dark. Because of this, it was clear we needed separate kingdoms for these unique organisms. Furthermore, the two-kingdom system failed to distinguish between simple, prokaryotic cells and complex, eukaryotic cells. To address the limitations of the two-kingdom system, German biologist Ernst Haeckel proposed a three-kingdom system in 1866. He introduced a new kingdom called Protista to house microorganisms like bacteria and protozoa. In this model, Kingdom Plantae consisted of multicellular plants and algae, while Kingdom Animalia included multicellular animals. While Haeckel's three-kingdom system introduced Protista, it had serious flaws. It couldn't distinguish between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, meaning bacteria and complex protozoa were stuck in the same group. Additionally, it failed to recognize that fungi are not plants, and it lacked the molecular evidence needed to show true evolutionary relationships. If you are asked to provide the shortcomings of the three-kingdom system, here are the core points you should include. To overcome the limitations of the three-kingdom system, Robert Whitaker proposed the five-kingdom system in 1969. He classified all organisms into these five kingdoms based on 5 key points: cell structure, body organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction, and evolutionary relationships. Now, let's look at each of these kingdoms one by one. The first kingdom we're exploring in the Whitaker system is Kingdom Monera. These are the simplest organisms on Earth, the prokaryotes. These microscopic life forms are unique because they lack a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, like mitochondria or the Golgi complex. While most monerans are unicellular, you might sometimes see them forming long filaments or clusters. What makes a moneran stand out? Their most distinguishing feature is a rigid cell wall made of peptidoglycan. For movement, they use whip-like structures called flagella, and they have hair-like pili used for attachment or reproduction. Speaking of reproduction, they primarily keep it simple through asexual methods like binary fission or budding. Their nutrition is incredibly diverse. Some are autotrophic and make their own food, while others are saprophytic decomposers or even parasites. We generally classify Monera into 3 groups. First, Archaebacteria. These are ancient organisms that survive in extreme environments like hot springs. Second, Eubacteria. These are the true bacteria we encounter every day. In your lab or under a microscope, you'll usually identify bacteria by their shape. Coccus is your spherical or oval shapes. Bacilli look like small rods. Vibrios are distinct comma-shaped bacteria. And Spirilla are rigid and coiled like a spring. And third, Cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae. These are the photosynthetic members of the group that help fix nitrogen. Though they are tiny, their impact is huge. They are the key players in the nitrogen cycle that keeps our soil healthy. We use them in industry to create food and life-saving antibiotics, and in waste management, methanogens are vital for treating our sewage. Simple, yet essential. That is Kingdom Monera. The next kingdom in the Whitaker system is Kingdom Protista. This kingdom is often described as the taxonomic biological drawer because it includes eukaryotic organisms that don't quite fit into the fungi, Plantae, or Animalia kingdoms. Protists are a diverse group of primarily unicellular, eukaryotic organisms. They represent a significant evolutionary step because they are the first organisms to possess a true nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Unlike the monerans we just saw, protists have complex cells with a defined nucleus and membrane-bound organelles like mitochondria. Most protists are unicellular, meaning they exist as a single cell. However, some can form colonies, and others, like the giant kelp you see in the ocean, are actually multicellular. You will find these organisms primarily in aquatic environments, ranging from freshwater ponds and vast oceans to damp, moist soil. Protists are famous for their unique ways of getting around. Many use specialized structures to move. Cilia, which are tiny, rhythmic short hairs. Flagella, which act like long, powerful whips. Pseudopodia, or false feet, which are used by organisms like the amoeba to literally crawl across surfaces. Their survival strategies are extremely varied. Some are autotrophic, using photosynthesis to make their own food just like plants. Others are heterotrophic, acting as tiny hunters that ingest food, while some live as parasites. When it comes to making more of themselves, protists can reproduce asexually through simple cell division, or sexually through cell fusion and zygote formation. From the oxygen-producing algae to the predatory protozoa, Kingdom Protista represents a massive leap in biological complexity. Next up is Kingdom Fungi. For a long time, these were grouped with plants, but Whitaker realized they belong in a category of their own. From the mushrooms in your garden to the yeast used in bread, fungi are the master decomposers of our planet. Fungi are eukaryotes with cell walls made of a tough material called chitin. While yeast is unicellular, most fungi are multicellular, growing in a network of thread-like filaments called hyphae. Together, these threads form a mass known as a mycelium. But the most fascinating thing about fungi is how they eat. They are absorptive heterotrophs. They don't have stomachs. Instead, they perform extracellular digestion. They release powerful enzymes into their surroundings to break down complex matter into simple nutrients, which they then absorb through their cell walls. Most are saprophytes, feeding on dead matter and cleaning up our ecosystems. Others are parasites, living off a host, while some are symbionts, forming helpful partnerships with plants and algae. Without fungi, the earth would be covered in dead debris. They are the ultimate recyclers. In the next part of this series, we will dive deep into the remaining two kingdoms, Plantae and Animalia, and explore the modern three-domain system that changed everything. If you've found this helpful so far, don't forget to check out my video on binomial nomenclature. I've broken it down in the easiest way possible to help you master scientific naming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over in that video.